Okay, what's actually going on in your brain when you experience executive dysfunction? I explain, from my bed. Well, executive dysfunction can have a lot of biological factors. The main factor that keeps showing up is dopamine deficiency. Dopamine is the reward chemical, but it's also the motivation chemical. Basically, when you have something you need to do, you get a tiny bit of dopamine in your brain, and that kind of signals to your brain, hey, if you do this thing, then you're going to get this big rush of dopamine afterward. But people with dopamine deficiency, A, don't get that original hit of dopamine, and B, don't get that big rush of dopamine afterward. So the chemical that literally gets your body up and doing things, whether it's something fun that you want to do or something that you have to do, basically just doesn't exist. The same pathways, the same dopamine pathways that's supposed to signal you to do a thing don't exist in people who have executive dysfunction. Or at least if they do exist, you're not getting the dopamine you need. And even if you start doing a task, basically there's nothing pushing you to finish it because you're not going to get that dopamine reward afterward. Which amounts to you not doing things. Because you don't have the do things chemical. People who suffer from really bad executive dysfunction sometimes find unhealthy coping mechanisms that substitute another brain chemical. For example, another motivation chemical is adrenaline. It can get your body up and doing things, but it does that out of a need for survival. And so people who suffer from executive dysfunction and some form of anxiety will usually wait until the last minute when a panic response causes adrenaline to course through their body, and that will force them to do things. This is also why people with executive dysfunction can sometimes be okay getting up and going to work, because the consequence of not going to work will cause adrenaline to motivate themselves, standing in for the dopamine, but then they get home and they still can't do their chores or won't play a video game if it makes them happy or won't watch TV. They'll just come home and stare at the ceiling. This is why small tasks help get you out of that hole, because you're already not getting enough dopamine per task, so completing a bunch of tiny tasks might allow what little dopamine you have to build up. There's also medications that can help to increase your dopamine, and certain stimulants help as well. I would be lying if I said I wasn't addicted to coffee. So yeah, no motivation chemical, no motivation. No reward chemical, no reward.